listen, we can stop or slow the spread. And this is now proved as an anchor point because they said to Canadians, you can do this to help others. Arbitrary coherence. Oh, I think I'm helping others, therefore I'm helping others. And you don't want to be seen as not uniform in your decision making. So you stick with that because you made a decision. Another example. Okay. I got one more thing for the audience tonight. I talked about anchor points at the beginning of this. Anchor points in COVID. What does that mean? It means the thing that we anchored to at the beginning, the things we were told at the beginning, drastically affect our ability to think about them today. Not everyone, depends what you believe, but on average, the psychology, the tests that are done on these studies bear out that it has a massive effect on your ability to think about things. They use price points in economics to illustrate this, and we'll go through it. So chapter 2, the book is called Predictably Irrational, The Hidden Forces That Shape Our Decisions. Harper, it was written in 2008. So a couple pages here. So basically talking about a Pearl King. He was the first dude, he flipped black diamonds, which are really just unpressurized diamonds. And he made a fortune off of doing it. It's like, how did he do that? There was no market for it when he got into it. So how did the Pearl King do it? How did he persuade the cream of society to become passionate about Tahitian black pearls and pay him royally for them? In order to answer this question, I need to explain something about baby geese. A few decades ago, the naturalist Conrad Lorenz discovered that goslings, upon breaking out of their eggs, become attached to the first moving object they encounter. Which is generally their mother. Lorenz knew this because in one of his experiments, he became the first thing they saw, and they followed him loyally from then on through adolescence. With that, Lorenz demonstrated not only that goslings make incidental decisions based on what's available in their environment, but that they stick with the decision once it has been made. Lorenz called this natural phenomenon imprinting. So we like to not appear like we don't have our minds made up. Zena, go lay down. Sorry, my dog. We like to appear like we have our minds made up, which is why people don't like to flip-flop, which is why when we belong to a political party, we will not see things certain times that we should see because we're worried about, oh, I shouldn't say that even though I don't like that part because we have to belong to a group. So imprinting, we made the decision, it was a good one, and we keep going with it, just like the goslings. Is the human brain then wired like that of a gosling? Do our first impressions and decisions become imprinted? If so, how does the imprinting play in our lives? When we encounter a new product, for instance, do we accept the first price that comes before our eyes? Okay, this is where it gets, think COVID here. What was the first thing we were told about COVID? What were the first things that we were told? And more importantly, does that price, which in academic lingo we call an anchor, have a long-term effect on our willingness to pay for the product from then on? It seems that what's good for the goose is good for humans as well, and this includes anchoring. From this beginning, for instance, Assel anchored his pearls to the finest gems in the world, and the prices followed forever after. Similarly, once we buy a new product at a particular price, we become anchored to that price. But how exactly does this work? Why do we accept these anchors? Consider this. If I asked you for the last 2 digits of your social security number, mine are 79, then asked you whether you would pay this number in dollars for me, this would be $79 for a particular bottle of Côte d'Oron, 1998. Would the mere suggestion of that number influence how much you would be willing to spend on wine? Sounds preposterous, doesn't it? Well, wait until you see what happened to a group of MBA students at MIT a few years ago. So he always backs up his theories, and he'll run experiments on his own students, which I find hilarious.
What are you reading from for Jess stuff?
Predictably Irrational by Harper. Here, I got The Hidden Forces That Shape Our Decisions. So I recommend it. If you can't get a physical copy, audiobook, this one's a pretty good narrator. I really enjoy this book. This is the second time I'm going back through it. Okay. The existence of what is called, what are we trying to prove? Whoops. Here we are. Now here we have a nice Côte d'Oron Jabelet parallel. Said Drazen Perlek, a professor of MIT's Sloan School of Management, as he lifted a bottle admirably. It's a 1998. At the time, sitting before him were 55 students from his marketing research class. On this day, Drazen George Lowenstein, a professor of Carnegie Mellon University, and I would have an unusual request for this group. of future marketing pros. We would ask them to jot down the last 2 digits of their social security numbers and tell us whether they would pay this amount for a number of products, including the bottle of wine. Then we would ask them to actually bid on these items in an auction. What are we trying to prove? The existence of what we call arbitrary coherence. The basic idea of arbitrary coherence is this. Through initial prices, such as the price of Astriel's pearls, are arbitrary. But once those prices are established in our minds, think COVID here, they will shape not only present prices, but also future prices.
So we're thinking like 2-week incubation period.
Okay, so when I thought about this, anchor points. The first anchor point we were given was the media propaganda around how deadly this virus was from China, because you've seen videos and different things going around, people falling in the streets. So that's one. The second was it's a novel coronavirus. So that was constantly, it's new. It's going to do things we don't understand. We can't treat it. That was hammered in. And third, now masks are another anchor point. Masks are helping to mitigate all these things, and they just hammered it home so many times that and they did it early enough, just as the fear was subsiding through after things started to die down after the peak, you would say, of probably mismanagement more than anything else, because we didn't know what we were dealing with. They hammered this and then said, listen, we can stop or slow the spread. And this is now proved as an anchor point because they said to Canadians, you can do this to help others. Arbitrary coherence. Oh, I think I'm helping others, therefore I'm helping others. And you don't want to be seen as not uniform in your decision making, so you stick with that because you made a decision. Another example, we'll keep going here. Yeah, I think he explains what I'm going to try to say anyways. So would thinking about one social security number be enough to create an anchor? And would this initial anchor have a long-term influence? That's what we wanted to see. So for those of you who don't know much about wines, Drazen continued, this bottle received 86 points from Wine Spectator. It has a flavor of red berry, mocha, and black chocolate. It's medium-bodied, medium intensity, nicely balanced red, and it makes for delightful drinking. Drazen held up another bottle. Sorry?
Sounds good. Sounds like a good wine.
This was a Hermitage Jabouillet La Chapelle 1996 with a 92-point rating from the Wine Advocate magazine. The finest La Chapelle since 90, Drazen intoned. While the students looked up curiously, only 8,100 cases made. In turn, Drazen held up 4 other items: a cordless trackball, a cordless keyboard, a design book, and a 1-pound box of Belgian chocolates by Nahas. Drazen passed out the forms listed that a form that listed all the items. Now I want you to write the last 2 digits of your social security number at the top of the page, he instructed, and then write them again next to each of the numbers in the form of a price. In other words, if the last 2 digits are 23, write $23. Now, when you're finished with that yet, I want you to indicate on your sheets with a simple yes or no whether you would pay that amount for each of these products. Okay. When the students had finished answering yes or no to each item, Drazen asked them to write down the maximum amount they were willing to pay for each of the products, their bids. Okay, so you have your anchor prices. What is your last 2 digits of your social security number? That's your anchor price. And now write it beside each of the items, okay? Now tell me what is the maximum amount you would pay for these things. You see what they're doing? Okay. When the students had finished answering yes or no, yeah, okay, they wrote them. Once they had written down their bids, the students passed the sheets up to me. I entered their responses into my laptops and announced the winners. One by one, the students who made the highest bid for each of the products would step up to the front of the class, pay for their product, and take it with them. The students enjoyed this class exercise, but when I asked them if they felt that writing down the last 2 digits of their social security numbers had influenced their bids, they quickly dismissed my suggestion. No way. Well, when I got back to my office, I analyzed the data. Did the digits from the social security number serve as anchors? Remarkably, they did. The students with the highest ending social security numbers from 80 to 99 bid highest. Imagine that. While those with the lowest ending numbers won the 20 bid lowest. Okay, so now that's enough for this. But anchor points, COVID.